I'd like to introduce our presenter, Randy Weekly. Randy is the Vice President of Software Development at ImageSource, and where his responsibilities include the development and delivery of the ILINX product suite. Until recently, he held the same position at Oracle for their imaging and capture products. Randy has spent the last 25 years working in research, system architecture, and technical leadership for Oracle predecessors Optica and Stellent, so he has a ton of experience with ECM. And he also worked for a variety of organizations, including NASA, GTE, and MCI. So at this point, I'll hand it over to Randy.
Great. Thanks, Carol. Hello, everybody. We want to thank you for taking time out of your day to learn a little bit about ILINX Capture 5. So by way of outline, we're going to talk today about why document capture solution may be critical for your organization. Then we're going to explore 5 key attributes of ILINX Capture and how these attributes can deliver significant value to your organization, specifically around streamlining your business processes to achieve key business objectives more quickly, improving the quality and enhancing the value of your enterprise content, and extending these capabilities to existing systems throughout your enterprise. And with this information, I hope it's going to be obvious how ILINX Capture can deliver a fast return on your investment. And finally, some capture solutions are like buying a Ferrari. It's not only the initial cost that's very high, but ongoing maintenance can be surprisingly expensive as well. And so we'll show how this is not the case with ILINX Capture. And along the way, we're going to give a couple of case studies, specifically around National Frozen Foods implementation with ILINX Capture 5. So before we address this question, let's define some terms. Now, when we say capture, we're primarily talking about the process of converting paper documents into digital images and associating metadata with those images to facilitate some type of business objective. So to go one level deeper, we're talking about 3 key capabilities here. Scanning, which is the actual digitization of the paper document or the collection of existing digital content. Indexing, which is the process of assigning meaningful information or metadata to these documents. And workflow, which is the ability to electronically route these documents for additional processing. Processing like indexing, corrections, approvals, or interaction with other systems. So why would a capture solution be important to you, and where would it fit into your organization? Digital information should be easy to leverage, but the explosion in data has made it more difficult to organize, find, and use this information effectively. The production of digital data is growing rapidly, even accelerating year over year. And even with all of the technology advances in the last 10 or 20 years, the production and use of paper-based information isn't showing any signs of slowing down either. The formats and sources for digital content is expanding each year as well, and many of the management mechanisms in place today are struggling to keep up with this. ILINX Capture has solutions for these new content types that allow you to get a handle on these increasing feeds and formats. Now, whether or not your organization is actually struggling to keep up with these new types or increasing volumes of content, a capture solution like ILINX can still provide significant business benefits. So there are 8 major business drivers for capture that I'd like to walk through with you. And this list was compiled as a result of an AIM study, but we found that it's consistent with why we see our customers investing in capture technologies. So let's start with knowledge management. Workers at all levels in organizations are empowered to make better decisions when they're able to efficiently find documents and data. And as a result, businesses become more proactive rather than reactive. According to a 2011 study by the Cadence Group, there are more than 14,000 federal, state, and industry laws, standards, and regulations that dictate how long you need to keep paper and electronic records. So it's likely that compliance is an important business driver for your organization. Compliance infractions can result in hefty fines, damages to corporate reputation, and even litigation. Organizations look at productivity as a huge factor when investing in the right capture technology. Now, when business processes are optimized and streamlined, organizations can actually do more with fewer resources, but it also leads to happier employees as well. By injecting information early on in a business process, the the business can react immediately and improve profitability and customer relations, which leads us to our next benefit, improved customer service. Now, businesses thrive in a highly competitive environment when information is immediately accessible to a customer. Now, whether that's through a customer service representative or through some type of self-service portal. Customers that are well served are happier, more loyal, and can even be your best sales and marketing agents. Now, on a very tangible level, businesses are able to reduce or eliminate file cabinets and the associated paper costs, such as equipment, square footage costs, and employee maintenance. And reducing document copying and reprinting also allows us to be greater stewards of the environment. And green organizations often have a more positive public image, which never hurts. Now, with lots of recent disasters to use as examples, it's essential for organizations to be prepared by implementing mechanisms to ensure business continuity. Businesses today can't afford to be down weeks or days or even months. And finally, organizational flexibility. Capturing information allows organizations to be fluid as well as unconstrained by physical barriers. It enables options for business optimization, whether you're managing multiple locations or a distributed or mobile workforce. So this is actually a great segue into the next part of our presentation, because ILINX Capture can uniquely deliver on these value propositions like no other capture platform. So ILINX Capture 5 is unique and very capable document capture solution that delivers on all of these value propositions we've just discussed. So let's walk through 5 key benefits that you can derive from Capture today. And we'll start off by describing how Capture 5 can accelerate your business operations. Now, when you consider the capture and content processing requirements across your organization, it's likely that those requirements will vary wildly from group to group. Some of your back office workers probably use high-speed production level scanners to capture large volumes of content, but some of your workforce will contribute infrequently and will want to simply drag and drop from their desktop or maybe onboard content directly from within Outlook. And many of your business processes could be improved by ensuring that the right people and the right systems in your organization are performing downstream operations on the content. ILINX Capture is unlike other capture applications. Though it has a small footprint, it is in no way a lightweight platform. It's robust enough to handle millions of transactions a day, yet simple enough for ad hoc contributors to use with little or no training. ILINX Capture is completely web-based to support any of your capture processing needs or models. Using the flexible built-in workflow, ILINX allows you to create optimal content onboarding and processing solutions. Whether you're capturing at a centralized shared service center and then routing the content back out for indexing or approvals, you can also capture from your remote office and mobile workers and then route content back to your central AP processing team, for instance. Or you can do both within a single ILINX system, driving the appropriate business process based on the content type. ILINX Capture scanning, indexing, and workflow allow people to work together across the world like no other capture product. Now, whether you're scanning in Paris, indexing in Beijing, approving in London, and storing in New York, the possibilities are endless. So when we talk about ILINX Capture workflow, the key word to remember is easy. Easy to build and easy to manage. With Capture workflows, you have the ability to accelerate your business operations by quickly creating powerful content workflows, by automating decisions through simple or complex rules, instantly deliver content tasks to just the right people or systems in your organization, and monitor and track all of these activities. So let's take a look at a couple of real-world examples. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a screenshot of an actual customer workflow that was constructed with simple drag-and-drop operations. In the lower right, you'll see a workflow that includes advanced operations and integrations with external line-of-business systems. And even though this is a complex workflow design, one of the key benefits of ILINX is that the end-user experience is the same simple interaction with either workflow. Now, to illustrate ILINX Capture workflow benefits in a real-world scenario, let's talk about National Frozen Foods. They're using ILINX Capture across multiple departments to provide distributed capture with centralized processing for their AP group. Several of the remote facilities manufacture agricultural products, and these plants are miles apart and separated from headquarters. Invoices come in at these remote facilities, they're scanned, and electronically routed to headquarters for approval and final payment processing by the AP group. Several key attributes of ILINX have allowed National Frozen Foods to accelerate their business. No paper shipping delays, and invoice information is more quickly visible to their organization. Some of the information is collected at the remote capture point, some is applied centrally. ILINX routes to engage just the right knowledge worker. And these new efficiencies in the business process have allowed them to take advantage of early pay discounts. And National Frozen Foods has also used ILINX to accelerate business processes within other departments. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So we've all heard the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. According to Gartner, professionals spend 50% of their time searching for information and take 18 minutes to locate each document on average. ILINX Capture distinguishes itself from other platforms by providing capabilities that can improve data quality and reliability, which in turn increases the content findability downstream. The best way to improve data quality and consistency is to leverage and apply information directly from your systems of record. These would be your financial systems, CRM, sales, HR, etc. ILINX Capture can do this easily and with no coding. Capture can further streamline this process by automatically extracting information from the image itself, such as a barcode or a form field, automatically performing a search and pulling information from the back-end system, and automatically populating the document's index information as shown in the screenshot. ILINX Capture also allows you to create fully searchable PDFs by performing optical character recognition, or OCR, on inbound images. And this process greatly enhances downstream findability of unstructured content within your back-end content management system or archive. Now, I mentioned ILINX's ability to process barcodes, which includes 1 and 2D codes, but Capture can also perform handwriting recognition, or ICR. It can perform MarkSense OMR processing, which is reading checkbox on a scanned form, as well as automated facilities to clean up and enhance inbound images. Now, it's likely that you have an ERM or ERP or CRM or HR and even custom-built line-of-business systems in your organization today. And you probably already own multiple types of scanning devices and possibly even some type of capture software. So in this section, we're going to talk about how ILINX Capture can enhance the value of those systems and devices. Now, because it's an enterprise platform, ILINX Capture is scalable in several ways. Now, Capture is typically deployed as a single instance, but used to service multiple lines of business. And that's not a problem at all for ILINX. It can easily be configured to support multiple different types of capture solutions. Capture also supports a broad array of scanning hardware to meet the unique needs of your different departments. ILINX has ready-built connectors to many different content management systems and even other capture products. And there are multiple extension capabilities that allow you to work with custom applications as well. Back to National Frozen Foods. Since the initial deployment by ImageSource, National Frozen Foods' internal IT department has expanded ILINX Capture into multiple other departments to accelerate their business processes. They've been able to build their own workflows, including some that are very complex, using the ILINX Capture Workflow Builder. Now, you can't always control the capture hardware used across your organization, so it's critical that your capture solution work with a broad array of devices. ILINX supports document scanners from Fujitsu, Canon, Panasonic, Kodak, and others. It supports locally attached multifunction devices, network-attached workgroup scanners, and multifunction printers, and even mobile devices. ILINX delivers out-of-the-box solutions for several multifunction devices, or MFDs, to streamline the content onboarding process directly from these devices. And like MFDs, the panels the panels on the network scanners can be configured with the ILINX Capture interface to automate indexing and even kick off a workflow. And this enables workers with no training at all to accurately process documents with little or no manual indexing. I mentioned that ILINX Capture provides several options for mobile document capture, and that includes native applications for iOS and Android platforms. ILINX Capture's powerful content indexing capabilities are also available directly from within Microsoft Outlook. You can select one or more emails and then let ILINX handle the processing of the email body, email properties, and the attachments. ILINX Capture is integrated with many line-of-business applications and can facilitate the onboarding of content and information for accounts payable, claims processing, customer service, HR, contracts management, and just to name a few. Capture is also great at sharing information and has a multitude of out-of-the-box options for delivering content and data to other systems. Using the broad set of application programming interfaces, or APIs, you can also leverage Capture functionality directly from your custom applications. Now, you may already be using a Capture platform like Kofax in a centralized setting, but you can still leverage the power of ILINX Capture to extend the functionality of these platforms. And it does this by collecting and injecting information into your existing Capture software from other locations or devices. So whether you have Kofax or Oracle, EMC, or DataCap, ILINX can deliver value above and beyond.
Randy, at this point, we've had a question come in from a guest. I'd like you to address it as it relates to the last section that you covered. They're wondering, can the user interface be configurable based on a user's work or their role in the company?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the answer is yes. Through the administrative tools, administration can set up just the right access and capabilities for end users depending on their role within the organization to ensure that they're not overburdened with dials and switches that they're not going to access on a daily basis, and really streamline that user experience for their role within the organization. All right, so let's move on to section 4. Return on investment is a critical criteria for any business purchase. And ILINX Capture delivers an outstanding and, we believe, an unmatched return on your Capture investment. In general, AIM observed that 42% of companies surveyed achieved a 12-month or less payback period for their investment in Capture technologies. And these returns were delivered by reduced labor costs, improved operational efficiencies and customer satisfaction, as well as reductions in paper processing expenses and compliance costs. Now, we've already discussed how ILINX Capture can streamline business processes by providing broad scanning and indexing capabilities, allowing you to create workflows to quickly engage just the right people and deliver information where and when it's needed. We've talked about how ILINX increases the quality and reliability of your captured content to enable knowledge workers to more quickly find information that they need to make better business decisions. And we've discussed the critical need to ensure business continuity and continuation. And when you consider these capabilities alone, I hope you'll agree that ILINX Capture can deliver significant value. But ILINX also provides extremely fast deployment. It's built with the very latest Microsoft .NET technologies to simplify the installation and configuration, as well as minimize the deployment footprint. For security, you can leverage your existing Microsoft Active Directory, or you can use ILINX built-in security model, or mix them. To install ILINX Capture systems, you need only a modern Windows server running Internet Information Server, or IIS, and a SQL Server database. In literally just a few minutes, you can have an ILINX base install up and running. Now, honestly, to set up a full production deployment with the appropriate workflows and configurations and securities, etc., is going to require a full-blown project with detailed planning and construction, testing, and rollout activities. The quality of the user experience can either enhance or diminish the return on investment for any software system. And organizations may enjoy some of the benefits and IT-related savings, but poor user adoption is going to negatively impact those savings if users don't fully engage with these new solutions. So you'll see in the demo in just a moment that the ILINX Capture user experience is so intuitive that training costs are extremely low or even zero. Products that are as powerful as Capture and deliver such great user experiences are sure to be readily adopted by your organization. And this brings me to my last point, which is total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership can include the initial cost of the software and hardware systems, but often the larger cost, which is often underestimated, is the year-over-year care and feeding of these solutions. So let's talk about a few ways that ILINX Capture provides unique TCO, or total cost of ownership, savings to you. Now, it's fairly common in the capture software industry for vendors to charge an ongoing page count licensing fee. In other words, the more you use, the more it costs you. And ILINX Capture is different. There are no additional fees based on your volume. You can scan one page or scan a million, it doesn't matter. So imagine how that alone could reduce your cost of ownership. The ILINX Capture product is entirely browser-based. There are no ActiveX controls and no elevated privileges required for the ILINX application. Software patches and upgrades are applied on the server, so there's nothing required for the clients. And with ILINX, all of your content, metadata, and configurations are stored in a SQL Server database. And this delivers cost savings by providing a simple, elegant backup and recovery capability from within a familiar interface. It also provides valuable features such as data encryption, where even your DBAs can't see what they're not supposed to see. Compression and deduplication help you optimize storage costs. And massive scalability allows you to easily grow and extend your system throughout your enterprise. From day one, ILINX was architected as a true cloud application, but it runs just as well in your data center. And this architecture provides several deployment options that allow you to fine-tune your operational costs. You can deploy on-premise, completely in your own data center. You can cloud host it with Microsoft Azure, Amazon, Rackspace, etc., or some type of combination. And we have customers running their ILINX application in their data center and the back-end SQL database on the Microsoft Azure cloud. And because everything within ILINX is stored in the database, it's not hard at all to change your deployment model. So we've shown that ILINX Capture can deliver productivity gains, cost reductions, and enhanced business agility all by itself. But the ILINX suite also contains other products that can further enhance and extend these benefits throughout your enterprise. ILINX Content Store is built on the same technology stack as Capture and provides powerful content management capabilities. ILINX eForm provides electronic forms capabilities to collect, validate, and deliver input across a wide array of devices. Oh, and by the way, ILINX Content Store and ILINX eForms will be featured on an upcoming webinar, so please keep an eye out for those announcements. With ILINX Integrate, you can deliver and consume content and data between any two applications with zero coding. ILINX Import automates the consumption of content from a large variety of sources and delivers that content to ILINX Capture or even a third-party capture solution. And lastly, ILINX Release. It accepts content from multiple capture systems like ILINX Capture and delivers that content to ILINX Content Store, FileNet, Oracle, or even a third-party content management system. All right, so this brings us to our demo.
And Randy, before you launch into the demo, I'd like to mention that if you do have questions and would like to send them via chat, if you could send those to Beth instead of Randy, we'd appreciate that. She's managing our questions for us today. So thanks. And if you sent any to Randy, go ahead and send those again to Beth. Thank you.
All right. So here we have the ILINX login screen. I'm going to log in as Sam. And SAM is a claims processor for a national insurance agency. And when Sam logs into ILINX Capture, he sees two tabs. One is his assigned work, which is workflow, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The other is Capture. And this is where Sam's going to collect and contribute information from multiple devices. He can scan it, he can drag and drop or consume it from his desktop. He can even take a picture with a connected camera and submit that. On the right-hand side, you'll see a series of just quick hit 1, 2, 3, 4 simple help topics. These can be configured by your system admin for users that are infrequent users of the software to help them be able to be productive without training. And at the bottom, you'll see a history list. This is all of the batches that Sam has submitted recently. And one of the unique features about ILINX Capture is this confirmation code. And using that confirmation code, Sam can come in at any time and find out the status of his batch no matter where it is in the system. So real quickly, the top-level entity within ILINX Capture is called a batch. And batches are defined with a collection of metadata, security, workflow, as well as some client-side processing capabilities. And within a batch, you have documents. So I'm just going to grab a document off my desktop here. Grab this one. And so we've created a document. Now, ILINX Capture is unique in that documents can contain any number of pages, and these are often TIFFs if they're coming from a scanner or a fax, but it can also contain Word documents and even video. And all of these are contained within a single document. And over here on the right hand, I see the documents displayed in the ILINX viewer as I bring them in. So let's just say I don't have a scanner attached to the system, but let's just say that Sam just scanned this document from his local desktop scanner, and he recognizes that the fellow here that's submitted this accident report sent him some email, and he saved those files on his desktop. So he's going to go out here and grab these files that he saved to his desktop and drag them right into the interface and drop them in. And so what you see here is a document that has a TIFF, it has a Word document, it has an image, and it even has a video. Now at this point, Sam may just hit the submit button, and this batch is submitted to the claims workflow. And in that workflow, it may process this first document, it may pull information off of it, like the policy number, and perform a lookup and pull information back from the system and apply to this document. But let's assume that Sam's responsibility at this point is to provide some metadata for this, this document he's about to submit. So here we've got the indexing panel comes up, and Sam can quickly look over here at the document that's been scanned and start typing in the policy number. And as he types, the ILINX Capture system is going to perform a lookup on his back-end system, and this could be a CRM system, it could be his claims system. And as he types, he can narrow down that information to identify this particular client. And when Sam selects this, you'll see that the information in the indexing panel is automatically filled in. Now, back when we were going through the PowerPoint, we talked about the ability to streamline the collection of information as well as ensuring the integrity of the information that you're collecting. And there's no better way to do this than pulling this information from your system of record. Now, Sam may come in here and specify the claim type because his back-end system isn't going to have a record of this transaction yet. And then he's all done, and he's ready to submit that, and he can kick that off into the workflow. Now, typically Sam works in his workflow queue to do his daily processing of these inbound information. And so he'll click over here to his assigned work tab. In the top left, you see a list of batch workflows. Now, the top three are actually system workflows, and Sam's been given access to those, but that's not necessary. The first one is processing. These are things that are currently being worked on by the ILINX Capture workflow engine. Errors or exceptions in the workflow that require human interaction to correct before they can continue. And the in-use workflow are things that are currently locked by other users in my system to ensure that people aren't stepping on each other. So Sam works in the claims workflow, and under the batch list we see a work queue list, and these are all of the work queues defined within the claims workflow. Sam's primary job is to review some of these inbound claims, and so Sam will select that agent review work queue and select the first batch in that work queue. Okay, and so here we see this information. Sam's job at this point is to compare the information that's been provided and make sure that that is correct based on this document. This one is, so he's going to go ahead and approve that one for additional processing. And Sam will just continue to work through this list of workflow tasks. But the next one, Sam recognizes that this is actually not the right information assigned to this document. So it's not a problem. Sam can come in here and has access to the same interface that he has when he contributes information to the system. So he can start typing in that policy number until he finds the correct record, and all of this information is automatically updated. Now, to recognize that Bob is a frequent flyer when it comes to accidents, and that's not good. So he may decide he wants to just highlight this date because Bob has had a couple of accidents in the last week, and he wants to make sure that downstream processors for this claim are aware that, you know, there may be something funky going on here. He can also add text annotations, lines, and even redact content if there's something sensitive that shouldn't be seen by downstream workers. All right, so let's back out of Sam's account, and I'm going to sign in as our system administrator. And what you'll notice is that the interface is exactly the same, except for the addition of a couple of tabs here. We'll start with the Report tab. This is just a simple reporting mechanism that allows an administrator to get a view of what's going on in the system. Now, this isn't very exciting data. This is just a demo system, so there's not a lot in here. But it'll give you an idea that you can come in and specify date ranges and get an idea of what's sitting in each one of your workflow queues, as well as what's been processed during that period. So it's just a good quick hit on what's going on with your capture system. And when we started the demo, I mentioned that batches or batch profiles are the top level entity within ILINX Capture. So this is a list of the batch profiles that are defined for this system. So let's take a look at the claims one, which is what we've been working on. So we've got a name, we've got a description, we've got a list of batch index fields, and I can change these, I can reorder them, move them, add new ones. But the two primary components of a batch are the documents within the batch, and so here are my two document types for claims, and the claims workflow. So let's start with these documents. I can add new document types so that I can capture different pieces of the claims workflow puzzle. Or I can go in here and modify existing ones. So this is the claim document type, and this lists all of the metadata fields that have been defined specifically for these documents. And I can create metadata fields or index fields that are text, that are dates, numerics, integers, and even a table. As well, I can click on this and set scanner settings so that my users don't have to know or understand that when they're capturing a claim document that I want that in 150 DPI as a TIFF, and I don't want it as 600 color. I want it as black and white. And so that's time savings, and so that my system also gets the appropriate information. Okay, so back to the profile. Let's talk about workflow for just a second. And I'm not going to cover this in depth. We're going to have a webinar coming up where we'll really get into the functionality of the capture workflow. And this workflow has been fine-tuned to facilitate document capture processing. So we've got a couple of workflow activities here on the left that are specific to processing batches. So we've got barcode operations, batch creation, deletion, even deleting pages within a batch. And those are all the workflow activities listed here on the left. In the middle is our canvas where we actually drag and drop and lay out our workflow and our logic. And over here on the right are the properties of each one of the workflow activities. So to create a workflow, you select an activity, you drag it onto the canvas, and you drag and connect that to build your workflow. Now, as I click through each one of these activities, on the right, you'll see that these properties are changing. And they change depending on what the activity type is and what needs to be configured. So right now, I have a human activity, which is a work queue selected, and I can click the permissions, and it comes a dialog that allows me to set privileges for each group that has access to this workflow, what they can and can't do, and how the system interacts with them, and how the users interact with the system. Let's click back over to the admin page. Now, I mentioned in the presentation that ILINX Capture supports built-in users as well as Active Directory users. Here we've just got a bunch of built-in, and we haven't included any Active Directory, but you could, and you can mix and match, and you can assign Active Directory users to your built-in user groups as well, and then assign those privileges out to the different capture functionality. And I do this by selecting permissions. So So at the top, I see a list of all of the batch profiles in my system. We've been talking about claims, so I'll select that one. And this list shows me all of the user groups that have access to the claims batch profile. And from here, I can select a user group and set privileges that define how those users interact with that batch profile, whether or not they can create these, change the index values, see scanner dialog settings, and even drill down into the individual document types within that batch class to specify whether the user groups have access to the field data, whether it's hidden, read-only, or required, so that they can't move information along in the workflow until that information has been provided. All right, well, that was a very quick overview. And so we'd like to wrap up now with some questions and answers.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, we've had a few questions come in. One of our guests is using Kofax for production scanning, and at this point doesn't think they have any plans to replace it for that purpose. But she'd like you to give examples of how ILINX Capture might augment their Kofax system.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. Absolutely. You've got an investment in Kofax, super powerful product, and you've got it in a central scanning solution. So a couple ways that you could leverage ILINX to add some value would be to create a distributed model. We talked about ILINX being a browser-based, there's no ActiveX or install required, and so it makes it very easy to get ILINX out to maybe a remote office or location to allow them to interact right at the origin of that paper and get that into a workflow. That workflow can then deliver that directly to your Kofax just like it came natively from the Kofax application. Additionally, ILINX, as you've seen, I hope you'll agree in our demo, it's very easy to use. It's a very streamlined interface. So for maybe those remote users that are infrequent users, there's not a lot of training involved. They can download or hit the URL for the ILINX Capture product and pretty much get started. The little quick tips there can be customized, and they can contribute content directly from ILINX into Kofax.
Thanks, Randy. Another question we have is about workflow. The question is, when you say workflow, do you mean BPM workflow?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. The whole workflow BPM is kind of a cloudy issue. When we talk about the ILINX Capture workflow, we're really talking about a capture workflow. It's a document-based workflow. And we wouldn't really put it into a BPM category. Now, we have enhanced that workflow to include things that I just briefly touched on during the demo, such as batch creation, batch manipulation, page deletions, and things that you would typically do in a capture type of workflow that are unique to a document workflow and probably wouldn't show up in a BPM product. So, yeah, I would categorize that as a document workflow.
Great, thanks. So this question came in via chat. Does ILINX Capture automatically match scanned invoices with purchase orders and purchase order lines in an ERP system?
Yeah, I mean, you could facilitate some of that. We demonstrated during the demo, ILINX Capture can be configured with no coding, just point and click to query a back-end ERP system. So as you're coding an invoice, if it's a PO-based invoice, that PO number should be on the invoice, and so you can key that into the indexing interface, and Capture can go back to your ERP system and validate that that is an existing PO. If you're providing a vendor ID or a vendor name, you can do lookups to pull vendor information back into the indexing panel as well.
Great. And so the next question has to do with integrating with a homegrown system. The guest is wondering if there are any extraordinary issues around that.
Right, yeah, and that's pretty common. We run into that a lot where customers have some type of bespoke system, custom document management solution or archiving solution. And as long as that system has some way to consume content, either through a file system or FTP or even through a programming interface, whether that's web services or a native API, DLL, absolutely ILINX Capture can connect to that system and deliver content directly to that system. Not a problem.
Great. Well, thanks, Randy. I think that's all we have for questions now. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us today. As questions come up, please feel free to contact Randy directly. His email address is right here on this slide, or you can contact us via our contact button at the right of ImageSourceInc.com website. And we will be sending out a recorded version of this webinar to all the people who attended. So we appreciate your attendance, and contact us if we can give another presentation to your work group or your company. We'd be happy to accommodate that. Thanks. We'll see you at our next webinar.